when the indictment was first unveiled against Julian, it was, I think, about 6 weeks before I was contacted by the person who became my source for the stories that we were able to do that showed that Lula's conviction was corrupt and that ultimately freed him from prison. And at the time, I wrote an op-ed in the Washington Post warning, trying to get other journalists to see the dangers that this indictment would essentially allow the criminalization of all investigative journalists, because what it alleged that Julian did that served as the basis for the indictment is something investigative journalists do routinely. And ironically, the Brazilian government tried to prosecute me for that reporting that we ended up doing that freed Lula, and used a very similar theory against me that the U.S. government is using with Julian, namely that he crossed a line by working too closely with his source in a way that made him part of the conspiracy, which is the exact theory they tried to use to criminalize my journalism as well. Can you talk directly to the people who don't understand, especially in my profession, why this case extends far beyond WikiLeaks and really implicates the core foundational principles of whether we can have a free press?
Well, this is basically criminalizing journalism. I mean, it's very simple, and every journalist worth his salt should actually recognize that fact. It is criminalizing the journalist-source relation. And if you look at the indictment, that little part of it, which is which sometimes is called wrongly the hacking charges, there is no hacking alleged in the indictment. Julian is not even indicted on that. It's that he has somehow helped the source to commit the crime. But all these arguments have been torn apart. When you carefully look at this and you see the danger, and this is the reason why the International Federation of Journalists and most Free Press Association have come on board and say that there's a huge danger in this for general journalistic practices. If you look through the wording of the indictment, I mean, it is almost it's ridiculous. One, for example, which is supposed to support this allegation of conspiracy is alleged interaction between the journalist Julian Assange, they assume, and Chelsea Manning, where Chelsea says something of the nature, I think I'm dry, meaning that there's no more information. And the reaction is on the other side, which they assume is Julian, and haven't even proven that. In my experience, curious eyes never run dry, quote unquote. I want to put that on a t-shirt.